I believe that a lot of parents, they usually just, with video games, like they'll just buy their kids whatever type of game they want, or just because they're like crying for it, or they don't even look at like the ratings and how bad it is, or like how their kids are reacting to the games and stuff. So I believe that the violent video games actually cause kids to be more aggressive, and they actually have an effect on them. So, alright, so I just feel like that once they play it, they just get into like a different mindset, so they just act more aggressively, like, because there's a lot of shooting games or fighting games, like, even if it's just UFC, like, it's still like a fighting game, so they just want to, I feel like they just pretend to be like a part of that, like in real life, so they act towards like that with other kids. And I feel like it also can make them angry, like even if they lose a video game, like it doesn't matter like what kind, like if they lose at it or something, I feel like they're just so into it, they just get so mad that they start fighting with other kids, or they start yelling, and there's a couple of games that I feel like that are really bad, like for one, Grand Theft Auto, that's like the worst one I feel like can be for children. I mean, I know like it's not for children, like it has like a rating, but I feel like they get it anyway because they just like bug their mom or somebody else gets it for them. So I feel like they're still playing it, so they get like, they hear like more cursing or more, like they think it's, I feel like they're becoming to think it's okay to do what they do in the video games. Like they just change their mentality. I mean, they can start acting aggressive, and they can actually like learn more cussing from that because they hear it. And some personal examples would be like my cousins and brothers, like my younger brothers, they always play like the Call of Duty and the Grand Theft Auto actually, and they just go out and like start playing with like fake guns, or thinking like they're actually in it, or they start acting aggressive towards each other. So I feel like that's like a personal example, like they're always fighting over the game, or I mean, even if it's just like, oh, it's my turn, like they're always so involved in the games, like they're just, they just start to fight more with each other. So for parents, I feel like parents should give their kids like a time limit on how much they can be on the video game, or what type of games they're actually playing. Like I feel like parents need to be more involved with what their kids are doing, instead of just letting them, oh, just go there and just go play the game, like get out of, you know, my way or whatever. Like I feel like they should be more into what these games are teaching them, and how these kids are reacting to it. Like they might not think it's like a big deal, but I feel like it honestly changes like their mentality, and they start thinking that it's okay to fight, or it's okay to just play with fake guns, or to do that kind of stuff. And even for like, there's like a couple games, like wrestling games too, or UFC fighting games, I feel like they might try to do, like act like them, or do like some moves on them, or that's how my brother is, like he plays a wrestling game all the time, and he like tries to fight with my brother and do whatever they do in the video game. So it's kind of like, it honestly has a big effect on the kids nowadays. I had a quote, but I can't remember it, so, honestly. But
Mike, what did you think?
Okay, I thought her voice projection was pretty good. She seemed pretty comfortable up there. She wasn't, pacing around all over the place or anything like that. The statement is what she's going towards is pretty clear. Violent video games affect children adversely. They make them more aggressive. However, there was no attention device. As far as I can see, there's no preview of how she's gonna go into this. There's no layout of how she's gonna break this stuff down. So I thought that could have been better detailed. The few examples she gives, which are Grand Theft Auto 5 and the and the UFC fighting game, are personal examples. She said that the kids want to mimic what they see in the game, so they'll start fighting, or with Grand Theft Auto 5, they'll start mimicking what they see in those games. But I felt that the claims needed better support, whether in terms of documentation or, a study has shown this about video games, or, some numbers to back up it as opposed to just personal examples. The organization could have been better, and she didn't take all the time, so it just felt kind of light in that room.
Okay. Well, I think that that's a pretty fair assessment. It does feel a little bit light. It's only a 4-minute presentation, and you've got up to 10 minutes, and it is thin on evidence. I didn't count the number of times when you watch your speech back. You might try and do that. The number of times that you say, I feel. I feel this, I feel this, I feel this. Well, that's great. How are you going to get us to feel that way? How are you going to convince us that your feeling is an accurate feeling? That's what you need to be able to do. You need to be able to convince us that the way you feel about these things is the way we should feel about them as well. And I don't really get much reason to believe that. Mike's right. You had a couple of examples. You've got some personal examples. I don't know that your cousins and brother are enough for me to make an inference that Grand Theft Auto is the source of all the cussing and horrible language that I hear in elementary schools. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know, but it's, all I have is that's what you see in your experience. So I don't have any way to generalize from that. The idea that people might be aggressive in some way, well, kids do imitate what they see. I don't know that there's a lot of doubt about that, but is that something that we should be worried about? Kids watch football and they play aggressively, or they like you talked about, run around pretending to be superheroes at different times, and sometimes they play pretty aggressively. I'm not exactly sure that tying it into video games is something that is unique. Why is this something that we need to look at a little bit differently? I think that he pointed out validly that you do a pretty good job talking to the audience, and you speak to us with a good deal of confidence, at least up until the end. I did see an attention device. It was mostly this visualization about how parents maybe make the decision to get their kids a video game thoughtlessly. That's basically what you're saying, that they aren't really thinking about that. But we need something that's a little bit more vivid. At the end, you can say, well, I sort of had a quote, but I can't remember it. Well, I didn't expect everybody to memorize their quotes. It probably would have been a good idea for you to have the quote on a card handy, but it basically sounds like an apology at the end of the speech, and your voice sounds defeated at the end, like you recognize, I didn't do this right, and you're giving up on the presentation. And even if it's not perfect, you want to convey some confidence in what you're saying. So give us a summary and say, well, I can't find the quote right now, but let me tell you, it's pretty clear that kids get the games that they want. Their parents are disregarding their, the recommendations, that they play pretty aggressively when they see those games. They learn some pretty bad language from the games too, and it's really something that we should be in a lot more control of. And just repeat your point, finish with a little bit more powerful statement. And even if you, don't have a lot of evidence going on, at least you've got your ethos going for you. You kind of undermine your ethos right at the end by the way you deliver the exit too. So that hurts a little bit. All right, thank you.